Alright, I need to know what happens. Like, is this woman possessed or is she just out of her mind? Hello everyone and welcome back to another video of mine. This time I'm back with Astrea's Broken Heart Season 2 Episode 3. Y'all, I think it was shitty that they first introduced us with MIKAEL and then all of a sudden he's like gone again. No wonder that the people that are lovers of MIKAEL are hating the story. But we will see. I can't wait. Like, I just want to see MIKAEL so badly. And I want to know where RAPHAEL has ended up. Because we, saw him for a small scene of episode 1. And after that, he has been completely gone. Like, there is no trace of him. And I'm really worried. Human grief knows no bounds and can lead one anywhere. Oh, goodness. My god, she's demented. She's mental. Episode 3, Demons Among Us. This episode contains violent scenes and a description of death. I could tell. This time there was no conversation with the clients. Their half-decayed corpses stared at the world with empty, indifferent eyes. Already decay. When did they actually talk to their clients? From what I know, it's taking 24 hours until a body starts to decay. And if they're already half decayed, how long has it been? The last words they had tried to leave behind were smeared as bloody imprints on the walls of the cozy living room. They were afraid of their daughter, and now they're dead. And their child is covered in blood and staring at us with really creepy eyes. She's planning on doing the exact same thing to us. Simona listened to the distant sound of waves crashing against the rocks. In daylight, its beauty would have been mesmerizing, but at night it looked like a monster reaching out with black tentacles. It climbed up the stone ledges and sought to swallow the unfortunate village whole. I need the name. Simona imagined that the darkness had indeed won, covering everyone in a mass of dark water. The muffled words of her colleagues barely broke through the stale air that reeked of blood and decay. She won't tell. My name is Tiana. The client's daughter proudly sat cross-legged in the middle of the living room, ignoring the corpses around her, like there's even blood coming down of her mouth as if she would have bitten them. Her eyes gleamed feverishly. Y'all, I'm not feeling well. Something was clearly trying to break free from their depths, something at odds with a frozen mask of complete indifference. Did you kill your parents, Tina? The grave cold clung to Simona's legs with sharp, unshakable talons and crept upward. Simona could feel it seeping beneath her skin, coursing through her veins. Did she really kill them? The girl is just a witness and she's in shock. Nah, she's just a murderer. I have to say it like this. I mean, is she possessed after all? I'm pretty sure it's playing a contributing factor that she's possessed, but I do think that she's in shock, but she's playing it off. It's entirely possible, especially if she stumbled upon the bodies of her parents in her own home. Even some adults couldn't behave rationally in such a horrible situation. Did I kill? No. Call an ambulance, please. They're dead, girl. Simona was trying very hard to avoid looking at the corpses, but the unexpected request forced her to glance at them again. The woman lying on the floor was missing significant chunks of flesh from her arms, abdomen, and thighs. The man's face had been gnawed off. Maggots were already wriggling in the gaping holes, indicating that the parents had been dead for some time. I'm afraid an ambulance won't be much help here. Then the police. Call the police. We have the police here. That's a reasonable idea. Simona's hand reached for her phone. Filonia gently intercepted it. No police, Simona. Not until she says the name. But she already introduced herself. No, the name of who did this. We need the name of the demon that possessed her. The little girl pouted and frowned. How can you be sure she's really possessed? Shouldn't we at least talk to her first? I have so much to tell you. So much. Simona swallowed and took a step toward the child, but Cassiel placed a heavy hand on her shoulder and pulled her back behind his broad frame. "All right, let's end the circus." With a nervous shrug, David broke away from the group and moved forward menacingly. "I'll say every name in turn. I've got all night. Ooh. You know how long the night can be, don't you, Tina?" David's word had a strange effect on the girl. Her mask of indifference cracked and tears streamed from her eyes. "Please don't hurt me, please." The piercing scream cut through the air with such force that Simona jumped. "What are we even doing? Talk to the girl." "Stop it. Stop scaring her." Simona broke free and raised her hand in a warning gesture to keep Cassiel at bay. "Whatever happened here, she's just a child, and we owe it to her to listen." Felonia gave David a meaningful look and shrugged as if leaving the decision to him. "She won't tell you anything, Simona." Encouraged by the prospect of being heard, the girl jumped to her feet. She glanced at Cassiel but wisely stayed where she was. "I'll tell you everything, sweetie, everything." Simona was appalled by the girl's strange choice of words, but she found the strength to continue the conversation anyway. "What happened here, Tina?" "A reunion of parents with their daughter. So emotional, with tears, hugs, excruciating pain, screams, and a frozen plea in their eyes." "And what happened to you?" "To me?" The girl sniffed like a dog and squealed with delight. "Oh, how funny you are. You keep your eyes shut so tightly. Be careful or a monster will bite your face off while you pretend there's nothing there. And there's so much lust in you. How do you even control yourself?" I mean, that's because I'm playing. "So dirty. Do you want to wallow in sin to spite the parents who abandoned you? Which one of these three attracts you so much? Which one do you long to surrender to?" Oh, God, no. Oh, I'm innocent. I regret nothing. Huh? The blush. The words were so unexpected that Simona didn't immediately realize they were directed at her. Oh, poor girl, confused about herself and the whole world. Do you want to go back to your childhood and fix everything? To be the first to poison her morning coffee and free your beloved spineless mom from her shackles? Enough. The girl ended her monologue with barking hysterical laughter. All the nasty things she says seems so accurate. It's all right, David. She's in shock. Though it seems like I'm the only one in shock here. David ignored the girl's hysterics. He began to speak in a language that vaguely resembled Latin. You're not so easy to provoke. Nope. A strange prayer flowed quietly and monotonously from his lips. "I'll find the seal. It has to be here somewhere." The girl jerked toward Cassiel, but Felonia's gaze pinned her in place. "Better not move unless you want to lose your limbs." The threat had no effect on the girl, but it did affect the evaluator. Sigils Latin, corpses threatening to dismember a child. What the hell? Simona realized something. With every minute they spent in this room, it would become harder and harder to explain to other people what they had been doing for so long. "We need to call the police." "But we have the police here with us." "Do not call." Cassiel was tossing books and anything else he could find onto the floor. The girl watched his attempts with fascination and taunted him. "Keep looking, filthy spawn. My name is Legend." Simona couldn't pinpoint the moment when her services were no longer needed. Why are they so sure that the girl is really possessed and not just sick? Girl. She just said that her name is Legend. The only consolation was that no one was physically touching the child, but judging by the changing expression on the girl's face, something was clearly happening to her. She foamed at the mouth and snarled, trying to reach David. "Shut your mouth, you disgrace. You're unworthy of the knowledge your father instilled in you." "What do I say? They're demons." "I'll gut you like a pig and eat your insides." "Oh, hell no." The girl screamed in a high-pitched, hysterical voice as though she was throwing a tantrum. The child's eyes clouded over as if someone had poured ink into them. In response to David's words, the darkness came alive and flowed from the girl's eyes like murky, dirty water. "Shut your mouth. Shut up. Shut up." Yeah, because he keeps on performing the exorcism, of course. Simona could have sworn that there were serpentine shadows dancing on the walls. Oh my goodness. As if tethered to her by their tails, they all began at the child's feet and spread across the room. The girl trashed and screamed, but she couldn't move from the spot. Something held her in place, preventing her from taking a step. Again, the chanter. And her gaze, full of hatred, was directed at only one person. David. He's the one reciting that tantra. What the hell? Girl, is she that stupid? They be talking to her about exorcism the entire time. Simona couldn't deny it. Plays boo or not, the words truly had some power over the child. Tina's body trembled, then the trembling turned into convulsions. It was as if her blood was boiling inside her, rushing through her body in a powerful surge. Is she having a seizure? It didn't last long. At some point she grew still, her gaze dimmed and lost all focus. No. The demon is being driven out of her body. And the demon does not want to leave the body because it has possessed her for a reason. And the child is now, the more the exorcism continues, the more the child is finding the strength to actually fight the demon that is inside of her body. With an expression of complete serenity, she fell silent and lay down on the floor. All the shadows that had filled the room disappeared. Only an oppressive silence remained. Did it work? Without a name, it only evicted the demon from the body. It didn't banish him back to hell. This time no one stopped Simona as she approached the child. She crouched down beside her, trying to find a pulse or feel her breathing. The girl's heart stirred under her hands, then suddenly stopped. Damn it, she's not breathing. Not breathing! Simona pressed down on the girl's chest. She tried to restart her heart, to breathe some oxygen into her, but to no avail. CASSIEL attempted to calm her growing panic. It's just a shell, Simona. Leave it. How did this even happen? No one even touched her. She just listened to some nonsense in Latin. She was possessed, Simona. It isn't some test. It's the truth. What do we do now? We're going to jail, girl. Honestly, where has the demon gone? Let's hope he's back in hell and after all. If it really was the parents who made a deal with him, there's probably nothing more for him to do here. A cold, hopeless feeling filled Simona's insides, but a faint glimmer of hope tried to break through. You can help her. Heal her like MIKAEL did. The emotionally charged plea surprised everyone far more than the possessed child did. You. Felonia stuttered and shook her head. We don't have that kind of gift. None of us do. Only MIKAEL. Felonia kneeled down and took over from the evaluator, continuing to administer first aid. She did so calmly and methodically. That gift is too rare, and not everyone who's blessed with it can develop it to the extent that MIKAEL has. I'm sorry. An ambulance is already on its way, Simona. After a few minutes, they heard the sound of sirens, and at that moment, Simona felt a faint heartbeat. CASSIEL picked the girl up and carried her outside without a word. David followed him behind. This is just a nightmare. Possessions, demons. The cocoon Simona had been hiding in was covered in ugly cracks. Through them she could see an unfamiliar world, a terrifying world. It crashed like a stormy sea against seemingly unshakable foundations. It tried to break the cocoon and reveal itself to Simona in all its terrible glory. There are no limits in this world, but this is really necessary to sail so far. Another thought squirmed in her mind like a worm. Maybe if I had called the police, the girl would still be alive. As if guessing what she was thinking, Felonia remarked, We're lucky no neighbors came to check on the commotion. Usually we don't have time to save every bystander from bloodthirsty possessed. Will we look at that? You managed to avoid potential casualties. Nice. Felonia motioned for Simona to follow her. She headed for the exit after the rest of their colleagues. Now we really do need to wait for local police. How do we explain all this? With words. Ba-dumps. Which is why we need to talk to them before they enter the house and lose any desire to chat. Simona walked around a bit trying to calm down, but no matter how hard the fresh sea air tried to wash away the stench of the house, it didn't work. The smell of blood and decay stepped outside with them clinging to their nostrils. Simona wasn't sure what to do with herself. She wandered back to the group gathered by the road. CASSIEL tensed when he saw the evaluator approaching them. "You're not feeling well?" Given the situation, it was hard to feel well, but strangely, Simona didn't feel like fainting. Maybe the miracle MIKAEL performed has expanded my mind? I'm fine, I just don't know what to do with myself. David smiled wearily and kept the conversation going. "I can only imagine how many thoughts are swarming your head right now." "Of course, it's my first encounter with a demon. It's a wonder I haven't lost my mind." "Demons come in many forms." "You." "Some are bloodthirsty, others are so captivating that it's impossible to look away from them." "You would know." "But they're certainly not the kind of evil you read about in books. Not all of them." "You?" His words contradicted those instilled in Simona by her parents. "Next, you'll tell them the demons can be good, are capable of love, and have families, and that angels are evil and couldn't care less about mortals." "Well, let's hope that angels are indeed good and care about humanity." Bologna lost in thought. She paid no attention to the ongoing conversation. She kept looking nervously down the road, waiting for the police. As soon as the lights of approaching cars appeared on the horizon, David and Bologna moved toward them. Simona watched from a distance. She tried to guess how long they would all be kept in place. And that's if we're lucky enough to be treated as witnesses, not suspects. David made emotional gestures as he tried to convey some information to a thoughtful-looking policeman. Two of his colleagues, probably forensic experts, entered the house silently. The policeman listened intently and nodded at every pause. "It feels like Somnus and Furious set us up with this assignment just to get us thrown in jail." CASSIEL just shrugged in response. "It won't be the worst outcome, considering the fact that these two have kept up residence in our home." When the policeman finally approached him, Simona braced herself for the oppressive atmosphere of an interrogation room, but the man just sighed heavily, hesitant to go inside. "What did they do to deserve this? One tragedy after another." "Well, you hang in there. If you see anything unusual, call us right away." The policeman nodded and spoke again, not addressing anyone in particular. "Thank you for coming. It's a shame it was too late. Such ill close-knit family, they love their daughter so much." The man took a jittery breath. He continued to mutter words that no one needed anymore. "We can go home." "Just like that?" I'm sure I'm free to go." Just to be sure, Simona asked the downcast officer. "We're not being arrested, are we?" "You're welcome to stay for the funeral if you like." Simona wasn't sure how to respond to such an invitation. She fell silent. "I'll hate the fact that Tina killed her parents. It'd be too much for her small village. She's just a kid." With a quiet sob, the man wiped away a single tear with his sleeve. "How could someone hit their head so hard that they start attacking people?" The rhetorical question was clearly meant to go unanswered, but Simona decided to respond anyway. If the impact damages the frontal lobes of the brain, it's possible. Simple reasoning suddenly made her want to tear her hair out. If Tina had brain damage, she should have been rushed to the hospital, and instead we recited prayers to her. Her stupidity could have caused her to die of hemorrhage. "How exactly did Tina get injured?" "An accident. The school bus overturned. Almost all the children died. Only Tina and one other girl, Laura, survived. She was in a coma for almost a month. The doctors told her parents to prepare for the worst, but she suddenly woke up." Or what has to snap in a person's head for her to kill her own parents? She was already dead then. A demon possessed her body. Simona was completely confused by this information. She continued to reason. If the trauma put her in a coma, then an altered state of behavior is somewhat understandable. Few can endure a month without consciousness. She may have forgotten not only her family members, but even her own name. It seemed that Simona had found an explanation for the child's strange behavior, albeit too late. But how to explain her eyes and black tears? If she came out of such a long coma, why was she at home and not in a rehabilitation? She was discharged a few days ago. The doctor said it was a miracle. She was behaving normally and all her vitals were fine. The parents of both girls prayed for them day and night, but I guess miracles just don't happen. Or maybe it's not God who answers prayers, but the devil. You would know. I need to ask about Tina's parents. What can you tell us about Tina's parents? Nothing bad. They were both archaeologists. About the bus accident? How did the accident happen? The bus driver fell asleep at the wheel. He said he lost his vision at some point, but even if that's true, I doubt the parents would have forgiven him. So he survived? Yes, but he hanged himself almost immediately after. About the other girl? What happened to the other girl? Laura's father is the pastor of a Protestant church. His daughter was in the same ward as Tina. Unfortunately, while Tina's parents were crying tears of joy, the doctors declared Laura brain dead. The father begged for a few more days to say goodbye. I believe they were supposed to take her off life support this morning. The team members glanced at each other, all thinking the same thing. We're going to visit the other girl in the hospital. Can you arrange a car for us? For a moment, the policeman's eyes lost their focus. Someone feared that David's boldness would get them taken to the police station after all, but that didn't happen. Yes, of course, we don't have many officers here, but I'll find someone to accompany you. Simona mentally braced herself for a sad scene, but instead of the crushing feeling of impending death, she was greeted by a celebration of life. The second girl who had woken up from a 4th-degree coma. Only MIKAEL's healing can compare to this miracle. A patient who had been prepared for the morgue not only opened her eyes but also felt great. The doctor and nurse on duty would have continued to fuss over her and argue about which test to run first. But then they were distracted by Tina arriving by an ambulance in critical condition. The overjoyed father stared unblinkingly at his revived child. He literally did not react to any external stimuli. But the sound of the door locking at the door room filling with strangers finally brought him to his senses. Excuse me, but you're not supposed to be in here. Don't worry, we'll just ask you a few questions and then we'll be on our way. Simona kept her eyes on the girl sitting on the bed, but the child just smiled blissfully and showed no signs of possession. The other girl didn't show signs of possession either, the second she got home. Oh God. David nodded to the child and began his questioning. Can you tell us how this happened? If you report us, I'll have to call hospital staff. I'm with the police. If you don't want to answer us here next to your daughter, we can arrange an interrogation at the station. Ooh. The man immediately gave in. I mean, what else can he do? This is like police work. He can't say, no, I'm not telling you shit. That would make him a suspect. Alright, but I don't know how to answer your questions. Laura was supposed to die today, but instead she woke up. With God's help, huh? I hear you're a pastor. The man turned away in embarrassment and answered evasively. We prayed with Tina's parents day and night, and the daughter woke up a few days ago. Today my Laura woke up. It's a miracle. Yes, we just came from your friend's house. David, be calm with your words. Because he's vulnerable. A miracle, as you call it, killed the parents. She ate them piece by piece until we arrived. Ooh. She actually ate them. Okay. The blood drained from the man's face, but not a muscle twitched. He took the uninvited guest aside and spoke in a lower voice. That's impossible. A girl coming out of a 4th-degree coma without a single hint of brain damage, that's what's impossible. That, though. In my eyes, she died. And then a demon possessed her body. Because we're talking about a vulnerable human soul. If she's in a 4th-degree coma, then that means that her mental state, or more like her inner, how can I say it? Her inner, her inner injuries are greater than what they seem on the outside. And that means that she can't heal from them. And that means that she's not strong enough to could heal on her own, which means it would lead to her death. And everyone was preparing for her to die. Now, she didn't die. And she had no signs of trauma, shock, depression, Panic attack, anxiety attacks. She woke up like it was nothing. That's what's impossible. Like, it don't make sense. What do you want? To pray for your daughter's soul so that what happened to Tina's family doesn't happen to you. The man tensed and shook his head as if he sensed something. You're past, aren't you? Is there a problem with that? Let's start with a prayer for her health. What do you think? There will be no prayers within these walls. Why not? Now it smiled approvingly and raised his voice instead. So you renounce your faith as soon as it helped you? Did you promise something of value in exchange for your request being granted, and now you don't want to deal with your benefactor? Ooh. What God asked for in exchange for my daughter's life is none of your business. Well, if God actually asked something in return, then it wasn't God that answered your prayers. God doesn't ask for anything, period. Everything is already His, and He doesn't make promises for faithful service. He punishes the unfaithful. Whoever you called upon, it wasn't God, and you know it. At Cassiel's words, a chill went through the room. There was a pause. The girl's eyes flickered, but the brief spark quite quickly faded. Does she not want to reveal herself until we leave? So what prayer did you receive? Who did you ask to bring your daughters back? If I tell you, you will leave us alone. No, I will not leave you alone. I'm gonna actually perform an exorcism. You want your daughters, yes? The father accepted his answer, but there was something ominous in David's words that Simone immediately sensed. I mean, are you serious? If she's actually just possessed by a demon, the second that they actually perform the exorcism, the daughter will be dead again. That's how things work. So of course he can't actually promise to leave the daughter alone. He will be dealing with the demon that's inside of his daughter's body. And the second he actually performed that exorcism and the demon is out of the body, his daughter will technically die again because the daughter isn't there anymore. The daughter is dead. If we exorcise the demon from the girl's body, she'll fall back into a coma like Tina. She'll probably die. Yep. This is... Honestly, it is fucked up. None of these choices actually resemble what I feel. Honestly, it's so strange. I'm talking about exorcism like it's a regular medical procedure. In our particular circumstances, I might lose my mind and start attacking people too. Alright, I'll tell you. The man glanced at his frowning daughter and sighed heavily. Tina's parents were archaeologists. They were conducting excavations in our village. They weren't believers, but during the month we spent in this ward beside our daughters, they found faith, and then lost it again. Despair oozed from every word the man spoke, and it wasn't going away. It was as if he feared his daughter would slip back into an oblivious sleep at any moment. That kind of hopelessness chilled to the bone. When the doctors told us to prepare for the worst, something inside all of us broke, as if we hadn't already been in hell all along, as if these trials were just beginning. And then Dina's parents said they'd had enough of praying, and they brought me a clay tablet. Daddy? What is it, my dear? The girl looked shyly at David and beckoned to her father with a thin hand. I don't feel well. It's hard to breathe. The father forgot about everyone else in the room. He rushed to the door, but Cassiel blocked his way. Where's the tablet? Daddy? The fear of losing his daughter again clouded the man's vision. His attempt to push Cassiel aside failed. This man is built like a... let's just say it the way it is. Like a bodybuilder. You're not gonna be capable to push him away. Then he lunged at Cassiel with his fists. Look at this man. He immediately resulting to violence. We need to call the doctors. First, a tablet. As if to provoke her father, the girl let out a long, hoarse breath. Cassiel blocked the father's next blow by simply tightening his grip around the man's throat. This man really does not learn. I want the damn tablet. Now both father and daughter were wheezing. This has got to stop. Calm down. Don't scare your child. Path of high reputation. Laura isn't dying. Look at her oxygen levels. They're fine. Come on. Look at her vitals. Simona's voice made the man turn around. Indeed, all the monitors showed normal vitals. Give us a damn tablet and I'll fetch the doctors myself. Please call someone for help. Instead of continuing to rush for the exit, the father suddenly gave in. It's in my back on the chair. Now can I go? The need for doctors abruptly vanished. Laura jumped off the bed and scurried toward the chair on all fours. The tubes connected to her body by catheters stretched. The needles tore at her veins, but the girl didn't seem to care. The room filled with the anxious beeping of machines seeking their now disconnected patient. Yes, she didn't want her father to tell us where the tablet is. The father froze at the door, stunned by her behavior. Felonia was quicker. She grabbed the bag and jumped aside. You were a bitch, and you're still a bitch. Do you enjoy hurting others, Felonia? Do you want to feel the pain yourself? Try me. Felonia threw the bag to David. Then she leaned forward slightly and assumed a fighting stance. Who the heck is that? I'm not going to fight you. I'll just tell you something about your home. Don't bother. No, it's you who doesn't need to bother. Your home has long since burned to ashes. You're lying. Oh no, I'm not. You're fighting here for nothing but ashes in your teeth and corpses under your feet. The girl laughed and crawled back onto the bed. She stared at Felonia with undisguised glee. That's nonsense, Felonia. Shut up. When was the last time you were home? A lot has changed. How does she know her name? Have they been here before? Has the girl acted like this before? Felonia's face contorted with this kind of harrowing despair that only comes when hope dies within someone. When there are no tears left, only absolute emptiness and helplessness. Her usually upright shoulders suddenly slumped and her arms hung limply at her sides. Poor little Felonia, ask your bosses if they were so noble did they leave you a single grave with a name. Or did they pile them all into a mass grave, slaughtering them like rats? Felonia's gaze was detached. It rested on David, then on Cassiel, as if looking for support. She tried to say something, but no sound came out. Pull yourself together, Fel. Yes, pull yourself together, Felonia. Be loyal, be submissive, and maybe they'll throw you their bones. So you can cry over them to your heart's content and bury them. Oh, hell no. So that's the reason why she's working with them. Because she actually got the opportunity to find out where her parents or her loved ones are buried. She don't know where they are. And they're kind of forcing her hand if she is working with them together. After everything is done, after they found the beast and got rid of the beast, she will be capable to know where they are. Felonia staggered, then turned and left the ward. Simona's first impulse was to follow her, but she noticed movement out of the corner of her eye. The father was taking advantage of the confusion. He was trying to press the staff call button. Damn it. Stop him! Son, don't you see that your daughter is not here? Simona rushed to intercept him. She gently caught his hand and looked into his eyes. Don't. That's not your daughter anymore. Do you understand? The man broke free and put his hand on his chest. He clutched his sweater as if to soothe the pain in his heart. How is she not? Do you think I wouldn't recognize my own daughter? Are you saying that your daughter has always talked like this? Simona would have liked to explain everything to him, but she didn't really understand what was going on either. Daddy, make them leave. Oh, hell no. That little demon. The father ignored his daughter's strange behavior. He clung desperately to the past, a time that could never be restored. What do you want? What more do I have to do to get you to leave us alone? Does your friends ever tell you where they got this thing? David paid no attention to what was happening around him. He studied the ancient artifact, which had strange symbols on it. No. What a shame. Well, at least now we know your daughter's new name and can perform the exorcism. And what will happen after your exorcism? The demon will be out of the body and she will fall back into the coma and she'll die. The daughter will become who she was. And she was before you read the words on the tablet. Ooh! So he actually was praying to the devil. God damn, this man. Just an hour ago, Simona was ready to swear that she would never see anything more horrible than the sight of two dead, mutilated parents. But she was wrong. It was much more difficult to see a living parent who couldn't bear to part with his child. Please leave us be. Child! It's not your daughter anymore! He actually reminds me of our mother from And the Haze Will Take Us. not being capable to part with your child. I mean, from one side, I understand. As a parent, especially if you really love your children, you can't bear to actually part with them in any way possible. But I would want to remember my daughter or my son as they were, as in themselves. He knows that it's not his daughter anymore. He knows that his daughter is possessed. He knows that's not the daughter he knows and loves. The daughter he knows and loves will never be there again. Like, it's not who she is. This is a demon in the body of his daughter. Wouldn't he want to hang on to who his daughter truly was? He prefers to actually cling on to the illusion that his daughter is still safe and sound with him than rather to have to entertain the fact that right now the person in front of him is not his daughter, the one he loves. It's a demon. Tears welled up in the man's eyes. He didn't know which one of them was in charge, so he addressed all of them. His voice trembled with despair. It was the voice of a man who knew that his entire life depended on someone else's decision. I've no one left but Laura. I feel bad for him, but it's not your daughter anymore. If her condition returns, she'll die. Please, if you have a heart, don't take mine away. Son, but you have to, as in we have to. The man received no response. He fell to his knees. I'll take her and leave. You'll never see us again. It has nothing to do with you being here. It has to do with the fact that that's not your daughter anymore. Didn't you see what your daughter just did? And that's not actually causing some kind of anxiety inside of you, some survival instinct? The second she has the opportunity, she's gonna murder you and then she's gonna go on a murdering spree. Because that's not your daughter anymore. She won't harm anyone, I swear. You can't control that. She's a demon. There was no point in explaining to him that the creature in the hospital bed wasn't his daughter. Nah, he already knew, and he didn't care. God has taken everyone from me. My wife, my son. Okay, Nana. Okay, like I said it so many times, I'm not a believer. And I was hating in my prayers. I was hating on God for all the pain he had me go through. But the more I healed, the more I felt the need to actually shut myself up. Again, I'm not a believer, but I want to believe that everything in life happens for a reason. I had to go through that awful experience because there is more in life for me than just a small thing. Like, life has more in store for me. This isn't where my journey was supposed to end. And that's why God actually, or in general, just a higher power, had me go through all those awful things because it was meant to actually make me stronger. I want to believe that there is more out there for me than just me having to suffer. And again, I said why he doesn't want to give up on his daughter, but this has nothing to do with God. Like, God is not responsible for the death. Sooner or later, you will die. That's sadly a thing. Like, you can't control it. You can't control when you die. And you can't control when the people you care about will die or leave your life. Like, this is just a part of life. Everyone has to go through that. I'm tired of proving my devotion, my love. There's nothing left in me. Let the devil fill that void. I don't care. Y'all, I have no words. Like, I actually don't know what to tell you. I would actually break with that man. Because I know what it feels like to be just that done with your life, having the feeling that you have no one left, that you are willing to actually go through hell and back just in order to have someone to spend your time with. But this is not going to make you happy in the long run. Like, he will be living his entire life in a state of denial, or more like as long in the state of denial until his child kills him. Because the demon inside of his daughter's body does not care killing him. I can live with this hole in my chest. You have to let her go. It doesn't have to do anything. It's so easy to give advice like that when you have no one. Ooh, oh hell no. The demon openly mocked the man's grief. She tried to bring even more pain into the room. Enough. I don't need your permission. One way or another, I will receive these words. Laura's eyes became shrouded in a veil of black, like Tina's had. Go ahead and recite it. I hope your tongue falls off. It's because of that we're all stuck in this cesspit instead of ruling. Cowardly wrench. She literally just said it. They're demons. A small veil gleamed in David's hand. The girl's amusement vanished, her face twisted in genuine primal fear. No! Yes! David! What did I say? There is this connection between me and David. I love him. Yes. This time the demon didn't say put, but honestly, now that I think about it, there must be some kind of different demonic experience, like Malbonte, Lucifer, for example, and not like these demon shadow forms, if you understand what I mean. Because if he actually would be, then he wouldn't be capable to receive the Tantra as well, as in that exorcism. If it would be like that demon, maybe he's a different kind of demon. This time the demon didn't stay put. David spoke the first word in a language Simona was unfamiliar with. As soon as he did, Laura pounced on him. Oh, hell no. Oh, my goodness. Ay. That's actually petrifying. Look at this. The frail body, weakened by the coma, proved surprisingly strong. A heavy metal beside table flew into the wall near Simona's head with a deafening crash. Oh, fuck no. David stumbled. He glanced to the side to make sure Simona was okay. I'm alright. I'm alive. Simona, go into the hall. Make sure no one enters the room. The meaning of his words didn't reach her immediately. All her thoughts were occupied with trying to comprehend what was happening. And what was happening in the ward just didn't make sense. Laura was choking on black water and screaming above her. A shadowy figure grew and spread. I did just explain what it is. Like, I feel like this is more like because I'm on the skepticism path. And that's why she doesn't understand. Arms sprouted from it and reached out to strangle David. There were more and more of them. The room was slowly being consumed by darkness. I feel like they're all holding themselves back because they're petrified of what we could actually feel, seeing all of them in their true power. And if we're out of that room, they're all willing to actually put in their effort, you know? It drifted across the floor in a murky haze spreading over the walls. Through the darkness, Simona saw terrifying and blinking red eyes staring at her. Simona was brought back to reality by a quiet prayer. The girl's father had begun to whisper it. It kept them both from sinking into the abyss of madness. It allowed Simona to tear her gaze away from the nightmare and break free. In the corridor, she expected to see a crowd drawn by the noise, but half-empty hospital remained indifferent to the drama. All its attention was focused elsewhere. Somewhere in the ICU, Tina was dying. Simona slid to the floor and leaned her back against the door. She felt like she was underwater again as she sought refuge from the heart-wrenching animalistic howling, and only the prayer whispered by the girl's father echoed in her mind. Without realizing it, Simona began to utter the long-forgotten words herself. She sunk deeper and deeper underwater. Is he actually reciting a prayer to the god or to the devil? Images of her parents flashed before her eyes. For the first time, Simona prayed for the response of their souls as well. But as soon as the sounds behind the door faded to a whisper, Simona resurfaced. No matter how hard she was being pulled down, a ray of hope still shone through. It guided her to the exit. This too will pass. All this will definitely pass. Simona found Felonia on a bench near the hospital entrance. She was lost, alone, and trembling faintly. She hugged herself in a futile attempt to get warm. Does she need my company right now? I mean, I could go with the romantic option, but I don't wanna put her options anymore because I already have narrowed like my love interests. So I'm gonna be like, no, we're not gonna go to her because I already made like my choices. It's like narrowing between MIKAEL Raphael, and David. Simona didn't dare to disturb her. She retreated into the shadows. The evaluator felt not only empty but completely hollowed out. Everything ached and throbbed from the ordeal. She didn't just want to wash herself. She wanted to be cleansed from the inside out. How can I help her when I need help myself? With a heavy heart, Simona watched Felonia from a distance. She waited for the others. Only David and CASSIEL emerged from the hospital. She didn't want to ask what happened to the girl's father. She was certain that 3 people had died in the hospital that night. Wow. Everyone seemed exhausted. Even the usually upbeat David looked subdued. Are you ready to head back? The women nodded silently and trudged away from the hospital. They decided not to hitch a ride. Instead, they opted for a walk to shake off the lingering heaviness of the night's events. As they passed the first girl's house, the group slowed involuntarily. Simona remembered Tima's words and the way she had spoken about David, as if she knew him well. Maybe I should ask him how that's possible? Simona approached David and deliberately slowed her pace. David immediately sensed that she had a question for him and slowed down as well. He glanced at the evaluator and put a friendly expression on his tired face. I won't even ask if you're all right. We all went through a lot today. Simona promised that she wouldn't bother him for too long. She bit her lip apologetically. It seemed like the demon knew you. Just in case, she clarified. Knew you better than the rest of us. He couldn't keep the friendliness on his face. David winced painfully at her words. Sorry, I didn't mean to. I thought you were going to ask if what you saw today was real. Or suggest that we all check into Godlam. Or at least ask where the demons come from. David interrupted her and spoke more gently. No, I'm really glad you're starting to get the hang of this. I'm glad you're not tearing your hair out over what you saw. It's just that I wasn't prepared for this particular conversation. Sorry. Oh, his face. She didn't want to make an already difficult day even more complicated. Simona forced a smile. She tried to steer away from the subject she had brought up. Then tell me where the demons come from. David smiled gratefully. He stared at the backs of their companions walking ahead of them with an enigmatic look in his eyes. The demon you encountered today is different from the most. He can grant wishes. So all those stories about deals with the devil aren't just myths? Most of them are probably myths. It's not easy to summon a demon like that. Just wanting to sell your soul isn't enough. You need to say the exact words and have the demon's sigil. And of course you have to entrust him. You have to offer him something of real value. The girl's parents offered their souls in exchange for their change to see life in their daughter's eyes. The heaviness that had settled in Simona's soul rose again, making her nauseous. But he didn't return their daughters to them. He tricked them. You have to be precise when making wishes, especially when your soul is at stake. Simona digested the information as she continued her questioning. And how often do you have to deal with them? This time David's answer was evasive. Her agency, not very often. But you more often? Felonia and CASSIEL had noticed her absence and slowed down. They gave them a glance to catch up. But Simona felt a strong desire to stay with David a little longer. He's so calm, he could be more than a friend to me. Yes, Simona's eyes unintentionally lingered on his profile. It hurts to see him so down. She desperately wanted to wipe the unfamiliar sadness from his face, especially if he's always upbeat. Especially if you care, you would feel some type of way about this. She wanted to cover his skin with kisses, to hold all his heavy thoughts from him, to bury herself in his embrace and melt into the peace he always gave her. David felt her gaze and turned. Whatever happens, Simona, we can handle it. Do you believe me? Simona nodded. She replied sincerely, trying to put all feelings into her answer. I believe you, David. David is willing to overcome any obstacle for you. A village of astonishing beauty remained behind them, but none of them would ever want to go back. Y'all, that's the first impression. We came here for the first time and we had 2 exorcisms. Its magical nature hid an ugliness that had touched them and left stains that couldn't be washed away. The journey home was oppressively silent, but like any journey home, it felt mature to Simona. After some time, Simona decided to freshen up, at least in appearance, before reporting to her superiors. She took a quick shower and changed her clothes. God damn it. What's with all those disgusting outfits? God damn. No. Better. But still not. Ugh. Y'all. Nothing of true beauty. Nothing. Give me a nice hairstyle. They can't even do that right. Nah, nothing. Nothing of real beauty here. Nah, let's go with this. Nothing of real beauty, y'all. I could... God damn. Simona wondered who exactly she would have to report to now. She decided to run through all the possibilities in her head just in case. Summoners and Furious must be expecting me to crawl to them in tears to beg them not to give me assignments like that again. This new world truly frightened her, but she wasn't going to give up her job. That's not happening. Simona assumed everyone would go to the briefing together, but she didn't see any of the others outside of Michael's office. She didn't find anyone inside either. They've all vanished again. The living room was empty, as was the kitchen. They can't all be gathered in a bedroom, can they? And it didn't take me that long to get dressed for the meeting, so it can't be over yet. Then when I listened carefully, she was trying to determine if there was anyone else in the house. The only sound came from the father's door in the hallway. A single dull thud, as if something was not very heavy, had fallen to the floor. No one has shown me this room. Maybe this is the office of our new bosses? Simona received no response to her knock. She opened the door and peered in cautiously. After making sure it wasn't someone's bedroom, she stepped inside. It could have passed for a library, but the shelves of the numerous cabinets held not just books, but also various trinkets, stones, figurines, jewelry, even paintings. So when I walked past the shelves, she tried to find the source of the noise, some fallen object, but to no avail.
Willst du auch einen Kaffee?
Ja. That's weird. I definitely heard something. An unusual box caught her attention. It seemed to glow somewhat. It shimmered and beaconed. Am I the only one missing Raphael? Without thinking, Simona reached for it, but when she heard a familiar voice, she immediately yanked her hand away. And you're asking me why he's also part of the people that I'm confused about? I've been dreaming for this man to show up, and now he did. You shouldn't touch that, Simona. Raphael. It felt like she hadn't seen him in ages. Me! The fear she once felt toward him had dulled, but his eyes still seemed foreign to her. Or perhaps it was unusual behavior that unsettled her. He seemed afraid of her too. He watched her rarely and kept his distance. I mean, after all, he remembers how petrified we were of him. So he would feel some type of way about that. We don't understand why he's behaving that way. The gap between them felt physical. Simona wasn't sure if she wanted to cross it. I want to cross it! It seemed safer on this side. Can I smack the shit out of her? I ended up here by accident. I heard a noise. This is a storage room for special items. Are these items you praise? Exactly. A gentle, shy smile relaxed in his tense muscles. You remembered. How could I forget? Simona genuinely didn't understand what he found so surprising. It seemed so obvious to her that she hung on his every word. Simona could not tear her eyes from his lips. She remembered their kiss. Can we please stop with this BS towards Raphael? He saved us. She's capable to perform exorcisms with David and CASSIEL and be fine with Michael actually healing her hand, but she can't be around the man that actually saved her and gave Michael the opportunity to save us in the first place. Has he been thinking about me these past few days? Raphael caught the direction of her gaze and blushed noticeably. Does he regret it? I mean, the way you actually behave towards him, I would feel ashamed. He ran his finger along the shelf and wiped away the dust that clung to it. Not this awkward silence. So when I know it's unlikely that I could forbid you anything, but you really shouldn't touch anything in here. Are these items cursed? Some are, but not all. This room is usually locked, but you manage to catch me when I'm here and it's open. I didn't do it on purpose. I wasn't waiting for someone to open the door for me. I was looking for Michael or Furious or Somnus. The box glowed brighter. Raphael motioned for her to follow him. He led her away from the tempting object. They went to talk to Felonia. They won't be back for a while. You can rest today. Simona sighed with relief. She couldn't help but smile. The last thing she wanted to do was discuss what had happened on the assignment. Instead, she desperately wanted to collapse into bed. Can I take Michael and Raphael with me? Because I've been with David the entire time. But despite the obvious end of the conversation, she didn't move. There was one question swirling around her mind, but she didn't have the courage to ask it out loud. Raphael seemed to feel the same way. He began first. On that night in your friend's village, you went through a great ordeal. I know, Michael told me everything. The speech Raphael had obviously prepared lost its purpose. He hesitated. You saved me. Thank you. The gratitude didn't seem to bring him any comfort. Yeah, because we don't remember. We don't remember anything. If we would remember anything, and we then would say thank you, then that would also mean that we accepted him for who he is. It's a shame I don't remember that moment. Michael said it was impressive. Whether out of modesty or something else, Raphael averted his eyes. Would you want your memory back? Would you like to remember everything that happened that night? To relieve the horror that Michael described, do I want that? Yes. It's my memory, after all. Whatever it is, I need to know. Even if it means losing sleep over it. That's a very bold statement. You're not afraid to face the past? No. Honestly, it's hard to believe what they say happened there. Even the news articles about that village feel unreal to me. And I have so many questions for you, but when I try to formulate them, they all turn into one very blunt and stupid question. You want to know who I am? Well, now I know that Michael is a healer, and that there are malicious demons in the world that you can sell your soul to. And if I'm not in the middle of a psychotic episode or currently confined in the Godland ward, you could be anyone. It seemed that the gap between them had finally closed. You're not having an episode. Simona glanced back at the glowing box without meaning to. I'm gonna distract you from that accursed trinket. Let's pick something beautiful and safe for you. Come on. Raphael neared the door, then stopped at a small jewelry display. I've personally checked everything here. The curses. Just something for yourself. Simona immediately forgot about the glowing box, dazzled by the stunning beauty of the various pieces. Wow, how do I choose just one? I'm gonna go with gold. Because we appreciate the beauty in gold. Really? Can I? Raphael followed her gaze and deftly picked up the bracelet. May I? Raphael's outstretched hand trembled, his eyes filled with hope. Like he's expecting some kind of trick from me. Instead of agreeing very verbally, Simona extended her hand in response. He fastened the bracelet, then gently squeezed her wrist for a moment. He let go almost immediately. Still, Simona could barely hold back a question. What was that about? Your memory will turn to you, Simona. Slowly, but it will. I'll be waiting. Simona didn't know if she would ever be able to enter this room again, so she took one last look around. Each object held a mystery. Each had an assignment associated with it. I imagine there are so many incredible stories stored here. Simona didn't want to distract Raphael from his work, but more than that, she wanted to stay a little longer. I can steal just a little more of his time. Stay. Since I'm free for the day, maybe I could help you with something? To her surprise, Raphael didn't refuse. I'm almost done. You can watch if you like. Sure, you do your thing. I'll just watch you from afar. It's fine. But for heaven's sake, don't touch anything, alright? I promise, Daddy. Alright? I promise I will just look. Ooh. Of course, he would be such a fine-ass man in that picture. Raphael sat down at the table. He gestured for her to sit across from him. He leaned over a black crystal. Now's the perfect time to ask him my questions. Honestly, I think it's so cute that we actually get the opportunity to get to know each one of these members with these choices. Ask about the items in the room. Oh, nah, you can't tell me he's not fine. Simona waited for Raphael to look up, then blurted out, "Tell me about the items you keep here." Raphael set the crystals aside and paused. He seemed to be considering what he could tell her. Maybe there is something that can make me invulnerable? I could really use that, you know. With your new bosses and their assignments, Raphael forced a smile and shook his head. Polonius armory at the police station would probably be more helpful. Hey, you are more likely to meet a random death than immortality. Timona tried to avoid the dark direction the conversation was taking. She changed the subject. Maybe there's something that can make me young and beautiful then? This time, Raphael smiled genuinely. Are you saying you're old? I don't think you really need anything like that, Simona, and I doubt you'll need it in the long run. But if I ever do, could you help me? I'm afraid anything I might find in here would be something that will make you age faster. Simona grimaced and folded her hands in her lap. You should have led with that. No, I'm definitely not touching anything. Though there's something you might be able to give you. Raphael rummaged around in a drawer and pulled out a small burlap pouch. He poured some powder into his hand. It looked like golden dust. This is pollen from a unique tree. If you inhale it, all your negative thoughts will leave you for a while. Aww. Simona wasn't exactly thrilled by Raphael's words. Is this some kind of ground-up drug? I don't think so, honey. Offended, Raphael started to put the powder back. Simona quickly apologized. Sorry, it was a bad joke. A clear head is exactly what I need right now. Simona closed her eyes and prepared to breathe it in. I mean, imagine actually him feeling that we're actually thinking this and he's slowly putting it away as if he would feel stupid. Simona closed her eyes and prepared to breathe it in. A light puff was enough to send tiny sparks dancing in the air and tickling her nostrils. In an instant, the dusty office was transformed into a magical, wondrous place. The scent she inhaled was unlike anything she had ever experienced. She was overwhelmed by a freshness that cleared her mind and made her body feel light and relaxed. All of her fears suddenly evaporated. It was like they had never existed. It was as if there was no past to mourn, no future to worry about, only the present. Lost in his magnificent feelings, Simona could barely find the strength to return to reality. My God, what is this pollen? You could make a fortune with it. I'm afraid my mega supply will only last for a few more inhalations. Do you spray this powder around the house? The smile faded from Raphael's face. What makes you think that? Simona waved away the sudden thought. Relaxed, she leaned back in her chair. Just a thought, never mind. Because you feel comfortable. She feels happy when you're here. Ask about the crystal he's holding. Bye. God damn. What does this crystal do? The black murky surface of the mineral gleamed playfully as if in response to her curiosity. It contains a dark entity. A curse? More like a creature. Simona voluntarily remembered the vial in the eye of his hand. It had frightened the demon that possessed Laura and Tina. And is there a demon in there? The question surprised Raphael so much that Simona thought she had gone too far. You don't believe in demons? I thought everyone in this house believed in them. No, it's not that. It's just strange to hear you talk about it so casually, as if you really believe it. Well, if I start thinking that everything around me is part of conspiracy, I think I'll wind up in Godland much faster. And anyway, my parents taught me all through my childhood that heaven and hell exist. Angels, demons. I hope that I'll encounter more of the former than the latter. Raphael smiled. He looked at Simona with genuine curiosity. Would you like to meet an angel? You are one, so... Oh, I'd love to. I have a lot of questions for those wide-winged beings. And what would you say to an angel if you had the chance? Come on, just be more obvious. There were so many questions that Simona didn't even know where to begin. She decided to start with the one that had troubled her all her life. I'd ask why angels allowed my father's church to be built. Why they let people hide behind their names to do evil. Why no one helped the children who prayed to them for help every day. I'd ask what angels are for, because I personally don't get it. Ooh. Simona almost immediately regretted this unnecessary confession. Feeling guilty, she fell silent. Now, honestly, if you actually ask for my opinion, you must expect that my opinion may not be what you want to hear. So, if you actually want to hear my real thoughts and my real confession, then you must accept that they not be what you actually want to hear. He asked us firmly, what would you say to an angel if you had the opportunity? And we did just that. She tried to understand why she allowed herself to behave this way. Because he makes us feel vulnerable. He makes us feel good about ourselves, so we're fine with this man being here. Why now of all times? I'm sorry, Simona. I really am. Oh. Simona held up her hands and tried to stop him. Sorry, I shouldn't just dump this on you. I mean, we didn't really dump anything on him. He asked us a question and we just answered. By the way, meeting a demon. If that really what it was, wasn't exactly pleasant either. Though, to be honest, I had far fewer questions for him. It's almost funny. It's like accepting the dark side automatically frees you from any complaints. I think the world is much more complicated than that, Simona. And there is no absolute good or absolute evil in it. I appreciate that because I believe that too. I did say we're 50-50. Everyone's saying, oh yeah, they're like pure good. Liar. Liar. That doesn't exist. Pure good does not exist and pure evil does not exist either. We're both. Except for the beast. You do consider it absolute evil, don't you? Raphael tightened his grip on the crystal nervously, as if caught in a lie. He averted his gaze. I feel like he's personally involved with that thing, or he identifies himself with the beast. For a moment she thought she saw his eyes flicker and then fade behind the smooth surface. I think I've had enough demon talk for one day. Raphael nodded and set the crystal aside. I couldn't agree more. It's a tough subject for him. So just grabbing a bite to eat. Not the cup of coffee. Or is it tea? Simona watched Raphael's methodical work. She felt her eyelids grow heavy. Wanting to stay a little longer, she began to consider possible options. Maybe I could get you some coffee. Are you hungry? Raphael immediately saw her true motives. It didn't humor her. Instead, he said plainly, if you're tired, go rest. I'll finish up here myself. No, I'll stay a little longer. I like it here. Don't shoo me away. I just got you back. Raphael sighed, stood up, and went to the window. It was only then that Simona noticed a small teapot and a lone cup sitting there. Does he always work alone? A few minutes later, there was a fragrant cup of tea in front of her. What about you? Obviously, Simona. I will continue to enjoy your company. The drink was delicious, but it didn't invigorate her at all. Simona decided to wake herself up with a question. Has anything terrible ever happened here? Raphael's answer managed to shake her up a bit. It could have happened today. That box you were so eager to touch, it could have shattered you into tiny particles and not put you back together again. My God, are you serious? Quite. He cares so much. Then why do you even keep such a terrible item around? And how is it possible that you can actually touch it? Well, it's actually useful, and it's not dangerous to everyone. Not to you, of course. Of course. I think the only one in this house we don't know what to expect from is you. Raphael smiled and turned the conversation into a joke, so Simona relaxed again. I bet he's just scaring me to make sure I don't touch anything here. I don't think so. Say goodbye. The exhaustion that had been building up finally overcame her curiosity. Simona didn't want Raphael to have to carry her sleepy self, so she got up to leave. It was good to see you, Raphael. Instead of a friendly farewell, she heard a sudden request. Simona, promise me something. I swear I won't touch any of your artifacts. Excellent, but promise me something else too. I love his smile. She fought off sleep with the last of her strength and listened intently. When your memory returned, find the strength to speak to me. My heart. I promise. As she left the room, Simona was filled with a strange foreboding, but the exhaustion of the sleepless night pushed the heavy feeling aside and urged her upstairs. Please tell me that we're gonna recover them as soon as possible, please, because I want to have that fucking conversation with him. Simona almost undressed as she walked. Then she dove under the blanket. She closed her eyes and instantly fell into a deep sleep. It was so sweet and long-awaited that a smile settled on her face, but it quickly turned into a grimace of irritation. An annoying knocking dared to drag her out of Morpho's realm. If it's that flying fox again, I'll strangle it with my bare hands. Damn! Simona angrily threw off her blanket and jumped out of the bed. The unfamiliar and harsh cold of the floor burned her bare feet. Simona hissed and climbed back onto the mattress. Did I sleep until winter? The knocking came again. Simona listened. A wooden cane slowly emerged from the shadows. It tapped dully on the floor as it moved further into view. Then a hand appeared, followed by its owner. This can't be happening. Huh? The fuck? Simona. Philip Moore moved through the room like a ghost. Simona held her breath and watched his every move. Y'all, this bitch. He blind. How did he manage to come here? Where are you, Simona? Give me a clue, come on. Whimper. Whine. I'm dreaming. This is a dream. And how come no one is here again? Someone must have felt that there is someone here. Simona didn't want to test how real her nighttime visitor was. She bolted from the bedroom. But when she realized that the door was locked, she gave herself away with a piercing scream. Oh, my dear, it's just you and me here. Moore followed her voice. He reached out for her with his free hand. Someone help! Oh, my God. Scream, scream louder, try harder. The cane fell to the floor and both his hands wrapped around her neck. How's it possible? Like, David was there. How is it possible that this bitch is still alive? How is it possible he's still here in my face? They squeezed the last bit of oxygen from her lungs. She had wasted it on a futile cry for help. Blood rushed to her head and pounded painfully in her ears. This is a dream. A dream! But the dream felt so real and the pain was so vivid. Come on, Simona, open your mouth. Open your eyes while you still have them. Wake up, wake up, wake up. What? This cliffhanger does not make any sense. He came here to strangle us and then for us to wake up. Now, who is actually hoping for us to wake up? We will see in the next episode. Like, I'm a little bit confused, but we will see. I hope you enjoyed this video with me. Tell me in the comments below what you think was best, and I'll see you in another video. Bye.